Ida Yildiz and Serkan Bolat. For millions of people who watched Sen Kalkarpimi, these two names became much more than the leading characters of a romantic television series. Their relationship began with constant arguments and gradually developed into a love story that found an audience far beyond Turkey. Yet romantic scenes alone cannot explain the Ida and Serkan phenomenon. Behind their success was a much bigger story involving Hande Erçel and Kerem Bürsin's very different backgrounds, their contrasting screen presence, international audiences, and the extraordinary power of social media. Hande and Kerem actually arrived at Sen Kalkarpimi from very different worlds. Hande was already a familiar face to Turkish television audiences. Productions such as Gunsin Kizlari and especially Ask Laftan Anlamaz had demonstrated her strong presence in romantic stories. Kerem's background was considerably different. He had spent important parts of his childhood and youth in different countries, studied in the United States and pursued acting there before establishing himself as a major television star in Turkey. When those two different paths finally crossed, something interesting happened. Their differences worked perfectly for Ida and Serkan. Ida could change the energy of a room simply by entering it. Serkan was a man determined to keep his emotions, work and entire life under control. Instead of immediately presenting the audience with two people deeply in love, the series introduced two characters who initially seemed determined to challenge each other. Perhaps that was the first secret behind the phenomenon. The audience could guess the destination. Eventually, Ida and Serkan would fall in love. The real question was how they would get there. Every argument seemed to reduce the distance between them. Every moment of jealousy exposed another hidden emotion. Even small details became important. The way Serkan looked at Ida, the subtle changes in Ida's behavior around him, or their inability to truly walk away from each other after an argument gave viewers something to analyze. Then something much bigger happened. Sen Kalkarpimi stopped being simply a Turkish romantic comedy. As the series reached audiences in other countries, Ida and Serkan began a second life outside Turkey. People speaking different languages were suddenly sharing, editing and discussing the same scenes. Through social media, someone who had never watched a complete episode could discover Ida and Serkan through a short romantic clip. That became one of the hidden forces behind the phenomenon. Their story was no longer living exclusively on television. Fans created edits, collected their favorite moments and analyzed even the smallest gestures between the characters. A look could inspire hundreds of comments. A smile from Serkan or a reaction from Ida could become something viewers discussed long after an episode ended. The audience was no longer simply watching the story. It was participating in the culture surrounding it. Eventually, that fascination extended beyond Ida and Serkan to Hande Erçel and Kerem Bürsin themselves. Fans became interested in interviews, behind-the-scenes footage and moments featuring the two actors together. When Hande and Kerem later had a real-life relationship, public curiosity became even stronger. For many followers, interest in the fictional couple began existing alongside curiosity about the actors themselves. But that alone cannot explain why Ida and Serkan remain memorable. The deeper reason was transformation. The Serkan viewers met at the beginning was not exactly the same man they watched later. Ida did not simply bring romance into his life. She challenged his habits, priorities, and relationship with his own emotions. Ida changed as well. Through everything she experienced with Serkan, love became something more complicated than romantic gestures. It required trust, patience, forgiveness, and sometimes enormous resilience. That is why viewers became attached to more than their happiest scenes. They followed the separations, the jealousy, the misunderstandings, the feelings neither character could express. And every reunion became more powerful because audiences remembered everything they had endured before reaching that moment. Perhaps this explains why there is no single secret behind the Ida and Serkan phenomenon. Hande Erçel and Kerem Bürsin's screen chemistry, the contrast between their characters, the balance between comedy and drama, international broadcasts and a massive online fan culture all came together at exactly the right moment. Sen Kalkarpimi eventually aired its final episode. But Ida and Serkan never really had a finale on the internet. New viewers continued discovering them. Longtime fans returned to their favorite scenes. Clips continued circulating, and the characters remained visible long after the original television journey had ended. Perhaps that is the real untold story behind Ida and Serkan. There was no single scene, kiss or episode responsible for making them unforgettable. Their phenomenon was created gradually as millions of viewers experienced the relationship together, discussed it and carried it beyond the television screen. And that leaves an intriguing question. Could another television couple reproduce the same phenomenon today, or were Hand Ursel and Kerem Bürsin part of one of those rare combinations that could only happen once, at exactly the right moment?